To order at 5:33 p.m. We'll have our invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time for us to come together. May we be endowed by your presence tonight. Fill our mind with your thoughts. Fill our mouth with your words. Fill our hearts with your spirit, that we may make decisions that are pleasing unto you and for the betterment of our citizens. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for those who have signed up for public commentary for agenda item number 13, we're going to move you from speaking on public commentary to actually you'll be speaking on agenda item 13. Okay, so that'll be your time to speak, is on agenda item number 13 for those coming from the for that particular agenda item. Is there anyone here for public commentary in general besides that? All right. Mr. Walker. Okay. All right. Ms. Moore.
I'm here to comment on what happened at the last commission meeting, and the behavior that I saw and the comments that were directed at Commissioner Warwick. Mayor, I guess you're not going to look at me. You were really out of line. I think you know that. That really shouldn't have happened at this meeting. And I really think you owe an apology to the citizens, and I think you owe an apology to the commission. The statement that you put out was not an apology. I don't think you're going to give it, but it really is owed. This commission meeting is for business, and it's not for 10 or 15 minutes of a conversation that could have been private. That's all I had to say about that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Corey Langford.
Good afternoon. I just had a couple of questions about the lot line restriction and the quote 1911 plat. So I think it was back in 2022. Mr. Bashir would know, he was involved with it as well. But the lot lines changed from 50 feet to 75 feet in order to build on a lot in the 1911 plat. And since then, like, I keep driving around and I keep seeing houses that are being built on 50-foot lots. They're getting stacked in there. And this all came up as to why we didn't want, houses stacked in the 1911 plat like cordwood, essentially. And I can provide specific addresses. So I'm just curious as to, who's approving this stuff? Is it the board adjustments? Is this stuff coming to the commissioners to approve these deviations from the ordinances? How is this stuff being done? It personally affected me. I was a proponent of increasing the lot size from 50 to 75 feet just because I didn't feel like that it was appropriate for us to just be stacking houses in there. At the same time, I was purchasing two 50-foot lots. So I paid a price for two buildable lots while advocating that that would essentially be one buildable lot. So, but I thought it was the right thing to do. And now I continue to see these houses getting built in the 1911 plat essentially on 50-foot lots. So I'm just curious as to how that's being coordinated, how it's being approved and done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. William Platt.
Thank you, Mayor. William Platt, 501 West 9th Street. This is a reply to Mayor's 25th February comments at the commission meeting in defense of spending city funds for Black History posters. At minute 19 into this meeting, he cites the 1986 99th Congress in support. I will cite the 29 June 2023 Supreme Court ruling that affirmative action is illegal in the United States. The mayor does not address my position that the city of Lynn Haven has a policy of non-discrimination, yet we have Black history with tens of thousands of Lynn Haven dollars spent to divide our citizens. Nor did the mayor and Ms. Gaynor address the question of who paid for their posters that were randomly assigned strategic positions at the entrance of Sheffield Park. The mayor mentions Tuskegee Airmen. He does not mention the fact Tuskegee was funded after Reconstruction, after white Southern males regained their voting rights. Immediately after, in fact, in the Black Belt of Alabama by an entirely white former Confederate legislature. I'll not fault the mayor for not knowing Black history as well as I. For my family is a Black history pioneer family, as Ms. Gaynor will attest. My great-grandfather paid Pasco Gaynor's way through State Mortuary College. Until a decade ago, at our family reunion, we had ample Black Gaynor visitation. I don't know what happened. They stopped attending 10 years ago. This is the history we should teach our children, not to display pictures of Michael Jackson or Alex Haley, who, by the way, stole the book Roots and faked it as his own. The mayor's March 2025 newsletter states, "We are greater, together." This message conflicts with Black History theme. This message also conflicts with the mayor proclaiming March as Women's History Month. But I do not see any women history posters displayed in Lynn Haven property. Perhaps Lynn Haven has run out of money to waste. But he does strangely mention 4 Black women by race in a Women's History Month. The mayor also brings forward Harriet Beecher Stowe. He has never read Uncle Tom's Cabin, or he would not cite it as worthy of modern audiences. If the mayor wants to promote unity, I will volunteer my time, as I did when the Dothan Juneteenth Council invited me and Georgia historian Jack Cowart to speak to their Facebook audience in May of last year. At Tri-State Expo, Conversation with the Confederacy, you can see people who are trying to enhance race relations rather than divide. I would point out to the mayor our YouTube recording of the commission meeting of a month ago. It has 4 times the views of the next highest meeting. People are interested in this topic. I've had people approach me in the stores and on the streets of Lynn Haven. They know where I live, and they say, how much money are we wasting to divide this city? I will conclude with the fact that the city has legal counsel that should be able to advise the mayor that Lynn Haven non-discrimination policy has taxpayer funds supporting a Black-only event. This is illegal and it must cease. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Parker.
Good evening, Commission. Jerry Parker, Rep Place. Mayor, last meeting, I sort of want to say something that Jody said as well. Your comments were totally unfiltered. If you want to own that, that's up to you. I feel you owe the community an apology because of your behavior. And whether you're willing to humble yourself to do that is also up to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ryan Scray.
I have a question for the chair. Will you be providing public commentary during item number 17 today? It's a discussion-only item.
No, just discussion only.
Is that going to include discussion from the public? All right.
Just commission discussion.
Understood. So I sent everybody an email on that item. That's an item that I have been personally championing for since a long time ago, easily 6+ months. I thank Commissioner Vandergrift for bringing it back to the commission, but I sent an email to all of you. How many of the commission checked their spam inbox regularly for citizens' emails? Because Commissioner Peebles pointed out that he found it there. Commissioner Vandergrift, I know she said she didn't see it. Commissioner Wark did. Pat, did you see it? No. Mayor Nelson, did you find my email in the spam box before today? No? Okay. So all I'm asking here for the All Call in the Parks revision is for private events that event promoters are coming through the city process for special events, which I helped make revisions to when I did the Lynn Haven Block Party on Florida Avenue in 2021. I followed that same special events process when I did that event, even though it didn't apply to my event, because I'm willing to follow the rules that the city puts in place. And all I'm asking for is y'all to consider giving this opportunity a chance to succeed and see how it goes. If it does not go well, you can always get rid of it and go back to what we're doing now. But all I'm asking is to give special event promoters a chance. I've provided ample resources. The city will be held harmless. You can put that in the requirements. You can do deposits. There's so many ways you can put the onus on the special event promoters to make this something that they need to follow in order to succeed and provide more events for more people that want to come to Lynn Haven. And we're not talking about parties. I mean, Commissioner Vandergrift talked about weddings, right? Who wouldn't love to have a wedding at Kinsale Park and have a champagne toast? Right now, it's illegal. Who wouldn't want to have a private concert at Sheffield Park and have maybe a low ABV beer during the concert, which we all know happens already. I mean, you go out Friday, there will be alcohol out there, it will be consumed. All I'm asking is for special event promoters to have a chance at doing it legal and safely to prove that it can be done. 1 year. All I ask is that you guys do it for 1 year. I know you won't decide tonight, but talk about doing it for a short amount of time, 1 year, and give us a chance. And if it doesn't go well, you can strike it after the first event if the first event does not go well. But I know that myself and Derek Freeman are excited to put together a brunch by the bay with low ABV mimosas and beer if you guys would just allow it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, question, Mr. Scray. Were you referring to the email from 11/8/24?
No, it was sent this last week.
Okay.
Everybody was on it, so any of the other commissioners could show you on their devices if that's not against sunshine, but I sent it to all 5 of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess just check your spam boxes regularly because you never know what's going to end up in there with the way the Outlook system or whatever you guys use is.
All right, Mr. Tony Bostic.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioner. Tony Bostic, 159 North Kimball Avenue. pro-populous mayors. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? All right, moving on to our reports. Mayor's report, proclamation for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource for giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Jesse Nelson, and the City Commission do hereby declare April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Lynn Haven, Florida. And we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day with us in an effort to protect our trees and woodlands on this 25th day of March, 2025. I'll keep my report brief for tonight and then have a more extensive report for our next meeting in April. Myself, along with the city manager, have been receiving emails from our legal or from our legislative consultant, keeping us up to date each day in regards to various bills that could be pertaining to matters in the city of Lynn Haven. And so we've been following up with her as well as pushing through our legislative agenda to try to ensure that we're included in this year's budget. So we have passed the first rounds, I believe, for that. And so just want to continue to advocate for our city to ensure that we're included in this year's legislative budget as well. And so that's been the majority of my work for these past couple of weeks have just been advocating from that position. Again, have a more extensive report on next meeting. Commissioner Peebles.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to say, this past week I've had some great discussions with different citizens about potential projects or events that could be going on. So thank you for those of you that reached out to me. And I also wanted to thank the city manager and our CRA director for getting with me talking about the Florida Avenue project. They spent a lot of time answering questions about that for me, and I greatly appreciate that. This month, I'm going to change up my monthly meetup. Normally, I have coffee with a commissioner, typically the last Saturday of the month, but this Saturday, I'm going to host a community cleanup day. This way we can get some fresh air, help to continue to keep our community beautiful. And our city is a great city, but I just want to be able to help out even further, spend some of my time, and it'd be a great way to get the community involved. So if you want to join me, I'll be at Porter Park. I kind of want to do this periodically. We don't have a ton of parking in certain areas, so I want to do it like in Porter Park first to see how this works, and they do have parking there. So we'll start at Porter Park and see where it goes from there. But I'll provide trash bags and gloves for you if you want to come help. It will be at Porter Park at 9 a.m. I'm going to meet at the large overhang over there just so it'll be easy to find me. And we'll see where it goes from there. Do any type of cleanup that we can find. Maybe nothing, but hey, at least we did our part, right? So I'd like to do that. I just also wanted to personally thank all the staff over these past few weeks, because there's been a lot of, the spring brings a lot of events, and they've been great. Whether that be sports or we're starting a spring concert series, there's been arts in the park, other things like that. It's been a very, very busy spring for our staff. And none of that could happen without the staff, from junior employees all the way up to the department heads. It takes all of them. So I just want to say thank you for that. And that's my report.
All right, thank you. Before going to Commissioner Perno, it was something I forgot to do at the beginning of the meeting, and I apologize on my notes here. We all received the petitions that were sent in from 24th Street to the city manager. We all received those. And so if there's someone that would like to make a motion that we add to the agenda a discussion and possible approval for the Traffic Safety Committee to install traffic calming devices on 24th Street. If we want to do it, if someone will make a motion for that.
I would like to make a motion, since the entire residents of 24th Street signed that petition. I don't think there was a house that didn't. So I was going to include that in my report, and I would like to make the motion that we do and instruct staff to install their speed humps, correct? Okay. Is there anything else we need to add to that motion or anything?
No, we're just adding it to the agenda.
We're going to add it to the agenda?
Yeah.
Well, I'd make a motion, we can add that to the agenda then.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. So first and second, any comment from the public? City manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes?
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Thank you. That'll be agenda item number 18. Commissioner Perno?
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate you looking out for what's going on in session. And that brings me to my point is that we really need that appropriation for our rate study for the possibility of moving forward with decommissioning our water treatment plant and moving up to the north treatment plant up in the county. With that being said, we did have a what's called we were facing a hand slap for what we've done in the past, right? And I understand that was going to be finalized very soon. So remind me of what it's called again?
Consent order.
Consent order.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did that happen?
We will do the last signing of that, and we will meet with them, and then I think we will meet with every commissioner as well. But it was surely,
It's been finalized though, right?
yes, we did accept that, which they did. I think I just signed off on everything last week to send back to them.
Was there a dollar amount attached to
Yes,
it?
and we already had that amount in the budget. It was only $169,000, I think, in kind. Or yes.
Consent order was around 176,000, and then we had the in-kind project, which will be 1.5 times that amount. We presented the lift station skater project to DEP. They approved that today, and then we had $550,000 in the fiscal year 25 budget to install the lift station skater.
So where do we go from planning to the decommissioning of the water treatment plant that didn't offset on this consent order then, correct?
No, sir. So we're still moving forward with the appropriation. We've made our next round. We won't know officially until the governor gets through with his budget cuts and redlining. But hopefully we make it all the way through and that appropriation would be approved, and we would get it the state's fiscal year.
Okay.
Did come through today that we're still in it.
We're still involved. Okay. That's good news. Other than just dealing with a couple of things, I did read my email today, and there was an email from the Heritage Society about the old library, and I wanted to thank them for informing me about the condition of the old library building and where they stand. I had been hearing about it, and they put it up as far as where it's at. Did all you guys get the letter? And I know Mr. Walker, you're part of the Heritage Club, or Jody. So I didn't know if, I know there was an appeal to the public to see what we could do to help raise money or do something for the condition of that building, correct? Or rebuilding that building. Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that we heard, we hear you guys, and if there's anything we could do to help with the, well, I understand that's our original library, correct? And that's a. That's a good thing to protect if it's protectable or to look at. So I just want, ma'am.
Speak to this. Gloria, she actually belongs in the group too, and so does Jerry. What we have talked about doing because of the condition of the building is actually having to tear it down and rebuild it. And build a replica because of the, like I said, the condition of it. But before we do that, an appeal was put out to the community to see if there's anybody who's good at renovations, if there's a contractor who's interested, because we do have money and we have a contractor who's willing to redo that. But then, of course, we all want to save our history. So again, this is kind of a last-ditch thing before we have to tear the building down. So if there's anybody who wants to help, I know the CRA director has actually reached out to speak with Vicki. So Vicki Cook is the one, if you want to, anybody wants to help, if you want to reach out to her and see if there's anything that can be done. Otherwise, it looks like at this point, so we're going to give it another month or two, and then it looks like we're going to have to end up, like I said, tearing it down and doing a replica, kind of what they did in Panama City with the Garden Club. So.
Very good.
Yeah, but please reach out to Vicki if you think there's anything you can do or if anybody wants to help.
Well, and
like Richard said, that was the original library in Bay County, so, we hate to see it go, even though it will come back in some form or another.
That's great, and I wanted to give a little public awareness to that, so. And just with that, and thank you to the people at 24th Street. I'll thank all of our city employees and all of our first responders and military, I'll end my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward?
I don't have a whole lot. We just had at 4 o'clock, we had a stormwater assessment workshop. So if you weren't here, I'd encourage you to watch it. Really would like to get residents' feedback on that. We had a lot of really good discussions about that. But that's all I have. Thank you to all the staff, first responders, and everything you do for our city. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Vandegrift?
I'll keep it short since we have a full house. But I would like to say that if you've called me or texted me and I did not respond, I apologize now. I have 4 precious granddaughters that somehow got a hold of my phone. And so now everything is in Italian. So I apologize. And so, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. City Manager?
Any questions on the warrant list? Okay, just a couple of things I'm going to keep brief. 9th Street striping will start in about a week, and we're going to do that at night, so it has minimal disruption. It will be right out here. We have already sent the golf cart study to FDOT, and we're just waiting to hear back from them where they say that maybe we can do another golf cart crossing. Tree giveaway is Saturday, 1 tree per household. Staff will be verifying addresses to make sure that we have residents that actually live here because they are so limited, because they are fruit trees, and I know so many people want fruit trees. Then we ask that you just be kind and take one of those fruit trees. We kick off spring concert series on Friday at 6 p.m. PC Eclipse, I think is the band that will be on. Easter egg hunt is April 12th. at 9 a.m. And that will be at Kensal Park. And then lastly, we have already set a date for the public workshop for the Florida and Ohio corridor improvement. And that'll be April 29th at 5 p.m. right here in the Walter Kelly Chambers. We invite you all to come out and be a part of that. And we will be sending out more information about the Amnesty Day in the near future. I know several of you have asked about it.
Everybody has brief reports tonight. All right, moving right along.
Have no report.
No report. All right. All right, moving on to our consent agenda, approval of minutes for 3/11/25, approval to declare community service assets as surplus and authorize staff to auction off on govdeals.com. Approval to declare asset surplus and authorize staff to auction off on governmentdeals.com. And approval of residential incentive program application for 1313 Illinois Avenue. Is there a motion for this agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Our old business, final reading of ordinance 1178, milestones and inspections. City Manager, if you would read this by title only, please, and then we'll hear from City Attorney.
An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances related to buildings and buildings regulations, establishing certain requirements for milestone inspections, providing for enforcement, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
All right, thank you. Do we have any additional questions for City Attorney? I know she's explained it to us a couple of times now. Well, Cole was here Friday and explained it. Any additional questions for her in this regard?
Motion to approve.
Ms. Vandegrift?
Good question.
I think it refers to, again, deputy clerk. Does it somewhere in here refer to?
I think you're confusing that with the appointment of board members. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, this one's different than that.
Okay.
Right.
In that case, I don't have any objections.
All right. Is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. Any comments from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Moving on to new business. Discussion and possible approval of request for development order Bayberry Shores, parcel number 08550-00000, Miller Enterprises Incorporated. We have a brief presentation from Ms. Amanda.
Thank you.
You want me to swear people in now?
Oh, yeah, quasi judicial.
This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I'm going to swear in anybody who wants to give testimony. Do you want to have just everybody rise or just?
Yes, if everyone would stand that would like to give testimony, and so there will be a testimony time, and then there'll also be a public commentary time. Okay, so if you're going to give testimony during this period, then if you'll stand for the oath, but if you just want to comment on, whether or not you're in favor or not in favor of it, then that'll be doing public commentary, which does not require you to stand for this.
All right. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And before, Amanda, before you get started, if the commission would give any Jennings disclosures, if you've had any contact with folks in the community about this development, if you could disclose that.
I have. I spoke with 2 residents, and they gave me their concerns about the development.
I've also spoken to some residents about the situation.
Just residents, no one else.
I've spoken to 2 residents as well.
No contact.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is an application for a development order for Bay Breeze Shores. The applicant is Mela Enterprises Incorporated, as is the owner, and there is representation here tonight. The applicant is here tonight if you have any questions for the applicant. The parcel number is 08550-000-000, and the location is 1817 Bay Breeze Drive. The property is approximately 3.67 acres in size. The land use on it, the future land use map designation is high-density residential, which allows for between 8 and 20 dwelling units per acre. So legally, you could put over 60 dwelling units on there under high density. The project engineer is Brad Harris, PE, from KB Engineering LLC, and Brad Harris is here tonight. The reviewing engineer was Chris Short from Dewberry, but we actually have Richard Funtner from Dewberry here tonight if you have any engineering questions regarding stormwater. The applicant would like to develop 19 duplexes on the site, so 38 units, which is well under what could be constructed legally for high-density residential, and also the supporting infrastructure. Bay Breeze Drive is going to remain private, and an access and utility easement is going to be granted to the city. So that's been drawn out, and the city will have easements so that we can read the water meters, etc. Let me get the next one. The ingress and egress is on Grassy Point Road. Originally, with the first site plan that went to the Planning Commission, there was a small entrance proposed for Cashomara, which was just going to be for our emergency service vehicles. It wasn't a public access. It was going to be for our fire trucks, etc., and also garbage collection. However, the portion of land, the small portion of land that was included in the site plan at that time, has since been removed from the site plan and has been given back to the owner who sold it to this developer, and that access has been removed. So the site plans have been marginally updated to remove that entrance on the west side. Bay County will issue a driveway access permit following development order approval. We have an email from them saying that they intend to do that if you decide to approve the development order, seeing as how Grassy Point Road is a Bay County road and not a city road. And there are trees that will be removed for the project, and the owner will pay $19,500 mitigation to the city for the trees being removed from the property for the project, and that will go in the city tree fund to replant trees elsewhere in the city. This shows the designation. The brown is where the project is going to go, or orange, depending on how you see it. It's high-density residential. To the west is Cashomara, which is mixed use. And I just want to kind of point out, that became mixed use in '95. If you all recall, there used to be a house of seafood on the corner there, so it was commercial. So at the time that this became mixed use, I don't know, I wasn't here, but I believe that they probably thought that that could potentially either develop as more commercial or residential, because mixed use does allow for commercial as well as residential. And there were going to be townhomes also on this a few years ago, but that didn't happen, and now it's split up as it is. So because, we do wonder why high-density residential was given as a land use. That was given when that property was annexed into the city in 2005, I understand. So it wasn't that it was in the city and the land use was changed. It was annexed in, and that land use was asked for at that time, just for a little bit of history there. This shows the aerial map of the property. It's outlined in red. You can see Grassy Point Road, which is going to be the entrance and exit. This is the site plan that's in your packets. So on the west side is where there was going to be a little access onto Cashomara cul-de-sac there. That is no longer there. The stormwater pond actually goes across the entirety of the west side. This was the old site plan. So this is the site plan that went to the Planning Commission for clarity. And this on the west side had that small entrance that has now been removed. Thank you.
All right, are there any, I see staff recommends approval. Are there any
Yes, sir.
questions for staff?
Oh, and I would also like to say that when it did go to the Planning Commission, they did recommend denial based upon the original site plans. We do have a member from the Planning Commission here, Mr. Aaron White. So you asked that we could bring somebody from the Planning Board who was on the board to, make that decision. So he's here if you have any questions for him.
Yes, Mr. White, if you will come up, please. Gotcha. And I see you signed in. Was that for this time?
Yeah, just
Okay, perfect. All right, questions for Mr. White? I know we asked about the planning board being here.
I just wanted to get your kind of summary of why it was voted down. You were in the room, so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. So our meeting was January 7th when we first got to look at the development. And the general consensus at that time was that there were several moving parts that were going on. There was potential litigation. There was also some land access issues. And so one of the main points was that there was too many moving parts that we felt like to pass it on with recommendation as approved. I understand the planning department has done a great job since then. Again, I'm representing from January 7th, which was a pretty good while ago, and the information that we had at that time. If you access my point of view was that the loop, it would be great for public service to have a complete loop from Cache de Mar to the loop. Again, that was a very contentious subject, and that was just my personal recommendation as the dialogue that was discussed. Again, I'll also say as our minutes have not been approved from all the discussion that we had said from that. We haven't officially met yet, but we'll, I'm sure, have that discussion when our minutes come out at our next meeting. But again, that is a very narrow road when you enter the proposed only entrance into the main road off of County Road 77, right there at the 90-degree turn. And at that time, we felt like that was a pretty narrow road for the amount of traffic impact that was going to be placed onto that road, assuming there would only be one access point. That was where I was potentially advocating for access through the other. Again, that necessarily wouldn't be the best sound land practices because it wouldn't provide a great transitional land use because those are nice houses. Transitioning into a rental development may not be the best strategy. So I understand that that's maybe one reason why the access point was being removed. So at that time, we felt like there was too many moving parts to recommend it as approved, and understand there's a lot of new information that's come out since then. And so that's my general consensus at that time. That there's mainly only one entrance in for the amount of traffic that would be in there. Again, they did have a traffic study in there that showed that there would not be a material impact. It just is a pretty narrow road. So, anything else?
Well, thanks for that feedback. Any additional questions for Mr. White?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for coming and presenting this to us. I know you don't get paid to do this. It's all strictly volunteer,
Hey,
so I
here for.
appreciate your service to our community. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Yeah, thanks.
Are there any additional questions for staff at this time?
I do.
And then we'll follow up with testimony from that.
What's the difference other than the entrance to the first map and the second one? I mean, the proposed
There were
land.
there were changes made to the stormwater pond and the location of the stormwater pond, and they had to be reviewed, which is why there was a bit of time between the January and then it coming to you now, because they had made that minor amendment to the plans, and so we had to send that out to our reviewing engineers to make sure that that stormwater pond was still met all the requirements with it having been changed.
So it was the entrance and the stormwater is the difference in the two.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, I have one more point then.
All right.
Has there been any mention of the bald eagles on this property?
Not to me. I think I heard at the workshop, or I think I heard somebody, maybe the commissioners mentioned that they had heard about bald eagles, but we haven't had anybody call us and talk about. Oh, actually, I tell a lie. I think we did before the Planning Commission. Before the Planning Commission in January, I think I recall Vicky Harrison, who works with me, saying that she did have somebody call who was concerned about some of the wildlife that was on that property. But we haven't had any emails or...
About the 3 pairs of bald eagles?
I mean, that isn't something that, with a development order application, that isn't something that we would look at, because if they were asking for a land use map amendment and it was over a certain size, the state requires that we have we look into historical resources, any historical resources that might be on the site. They have to look at soils, they have to look at any environmental factors, but that isn't something that we generally is part of the development order application.
But the fact that there's state and federal guidelines for the protection of bald eagles?
I'd have to defer to the city attorney on that.
So the city doesn't have any regulations on that. There's no permit requirements. And like Amanda said, that's not a reason for the city to deny this application. Now, if there's any state or federal permits that are required for the development of this property that trigger that requirement, it'll be examined then. But it's not within the city's jurisdiction.
Any further questions for Amanda?
I have one. So as I'm reading the traffic study where it says that there would be an 8.14 peak annual average daily trips generated and a 0.70 peak hour trip per unit. When it's talking about the 8.14 peak annual average daily trips, is that per unit?
No, that was for the development,
Okay.
I believe. Is there a copy of that in here? Didn't bring the full. 8.14 peak annual average daily trips and a 0.70 peak hour trip per unit. That 8 isn't going to be per unit. There aren't going to be 8 trips per unit, peak hour, no.
Okay, that's not per hour. The 8.14 is daily, but I guess 0.7 over.
Is the peak hour, and the
It's
peak
the
hour is
highest.
the busiest hour.
Correct. So the 8.14 would be,
The project.
yeah.
Because if the busiest hour is given 0.70, then, yeah, it's not going to be 8.14 for the daily. Because the highest is during the peak hour.
And this is while development's going on, or once it's developed, that's how?
No, this is once it's developed.
Okay. So that math is not lining up to me, but because 0.7 per hour, even if you dropped it some per unit, even if you drop that down to like 0.2 per unit, 0.2 per unit times 19 units per hour would be well over 8.
Let me look and see if I've got it in here, because if not, what I can do is I've got it in my office.
It'd actually be 38 units.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 19 units, which would be 38 dwellings, yeah.
If you like, I can, just looking to see if it says something in the.
You're looking at
A
60 to
traffic
80
vehicle
cars.
trip generation and distribution analysis was submitted to the project, determined the 8.40 peak annual average daily trips generated and 0.70 peak vehicle per hour trips generated per unit by the project, which will have a negligible impact upon the existing State Road 77 level of service. This is what comes to us. I mean, I'm not a traffic engineer.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just putting in here what we are given. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to question you. I was just questioning the math itself.
I mean, if you want to, I think I mean, I definitely, in my major fault, which I didn't bring, is in my office. But if you want me to go and get that analysis from the file, I can, while you're doing your public commentary, I can go and get that.
No, I'm not going to burden you with that. I just was kind of a bit confused on the math is all, but.
And I'm not. I don't know if Richard, how are you with traffic? Oh, or Brad? Brad, yeah, the actual engineer for the project, he might be able to help you a bit more with that. Sorry, I'm not a transportation engineer.
Fun watching you, sorry.
Oh, great.
Brad Harris, KB Engineering. It is 8 units roughly per unit, or 8 trips per unit. So overall, it'd be 8 times 38 would be the daily to 77. Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll have
Can you mind if I ask a question for Amanda real quick?
Sure.
Amanda? So when they originally voted on this, it was the development order had changed. Does it typically go back to the planning board when a development order changes?
I had asked the city attorney about this, and she said when it's just a minor thing like this that isn't actually changing the number of units or any of those things, that it does not need to go back to the planning commission.
Right, it doesn't. But I'm just asking historically, have you seen development orders like this that have changed by the time they come to the commission that they go back to the planning board?
Not when it's just been a little thing like this, no.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, at this time, we'll have our testimony. I did see some stand up for swearing in for testimony. If you would just come up and state your name for the record and then provide your testimony.
Sal Mella, owner of Mella Enterprises, Inc., 1817 Bay Beach Drive. All I would ask for is to have a fair meeting after they stand up and give their comments. If you don't mind, if we can handle it in a way that we can rebuttal to those comments as soon as that happens. And to clarify new bald eagles, I have a removable drive disc with every single tree on my property does not show a single nest nor fox barrel.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Mella?
And I'll be happy to provide those for you if you like.
All right. Thank you. Additional testimony? And yes, Mr. Mella, once they make their statements, if there's any questions that need clarification, then you and your team will be able to come back and clarify that.
Hi, my name is William Flynn. I represent the Homeowners Association on Cashel Mara, which are the cul-de-sac that abuts the property that we're talking about. I got a lot of concerns, but you're going to hear from a lot of people, so I just want to talk about water in, sewage out. Got a report from City of Lynn Haven to the City of Lynn Haven from Panhandle Engineering that showed the water in was inadequate to meet the needs of the Lynn Haven Fire Department. So it was a hard fail in that regard because there's just not enough water capacity to essentially from one tube to feed Marina Bay Condo and then our division, which has got 17 lots and about 10 houses, to add another 38 units on there. The water pressure that would be needed by the City of Lynn Haven Fire Department is not adequate. So that's a water in problem we have. The sewage out is our unit was designed, essentially, our lift station was designed for the essentially 18 residents or somewhere around there. To triple that capacity, it would put a strain on us. And then the subsequent lift station that we empty into is the Marina Bay one. And then it goes through a tube 4,000 feet south to the City of Lynn Haven. And that one, believe it or not, that's the weakest link. And that's going to need a major upgrade. And then what you've talked to tonight is, well, we're going to be redoing the whole sewage where I believe, going into the county now or something. So there are just too many loose ends here to go forward with this. I'm asking for. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there additional testimony?
Lightfoot as well, and my engineer, we we can explain things to you a little bit better.
Did you swear in, Mr. Lightfoot?
I did not.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. So as the resident before said, the lift station on Cashel Mara, that lift station is adequate to handle the proposed development today. The lift station that it pumps to, lift station 47 at the foot of the Bailey Bridge, that lift station needs upgrades. Not because of this development, the lift station needs upgrades regardless if this development goes in or not. It has a 4-inch force main that leaves that station. It goes across the canal there, pumps to another lift station, and then to the wastewater plant. So regardless if this gets approved and built or not, that lift station will be upgraded in the next 6 to 12 months with new pumps, new panel, and possibly a new force main. As far as the water, the system was modeled. It did not meet the 1,000 gallons per minute as required per our fire code. They went back and Mr. Harris designed that subdivision to include fire service taps so that each unit will have a water tap for a fire sprinkler system once they get their building permits and go vertical. At that time, they can model the water system again, and if it meets the 1,000 gallons per minute, they will not have to build the units with the sprinkler system in. But in order to get this through the system now, they are designing it with those services there. So there is no concern with fire flow and the proposed structures to meet the demand.
Any questions for Mr. Lightfoot?
I guess the part I'm confused on is that after they build the 1,000 gallons, they're going to test it or something like that?
Correct. Once they build the subdivision, they can remodel the water system to see if the pressure went up to 1,000 gallons a minute. The pressure now is based upon the existing fire hydrants on Cashel Mara. It's below the 1,000 gallons per minute if the development was put in today. So once they extend their water line and loop the system, that may increase the water flow to not be below the 1,000 gallons per minute.
Or there's no guarantee it'll be above?
Right, which is why they're building it with the fire service connections to sprinkle the buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the best way to explain is a fire hydrant is you have to have 1,000 gallons per minute. And we do not meet that right now. So in lieu of fire hydrant, we will be providing direct sprinkler to the building. So the buildings internally would get sprinkled instead of from fire hydrant.
So is there a certain code or something that addresses that if you can't get the 1,000 gallons a minute that you can do that?
The fire code.
Okay.
We also have a backup plan. So already on the property, there's an existing 6-inch from the county, 6-inch line from the county with the fire hydrant already within the property. So we are allowed, we have the okay from the county to strictly just run our sprinkler or fire hydrant or fire suppression system through the county and Lynn Haven just do strictly just for the homes.
All right.
Adding all those units, you're adding all those residential units in there. You say, well, we can get covered from the county but what about us who's already got built houses? It's very hard to put a sprinkler system in a built house. So I really think this needs to be looked at in depth and get some assurances for us, because I don't want to have inadequate fire protection for my house.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Is there additional testimony?
The system was modeled, the two fire hydrants, one of them was 640 gallons a minute, and the other one was 706 gallons a minute. So they'd have to come up with a 30% additional gallons per minute load. And not only that, if they're going to be getting their water service off of the 6-inch line that comes from the neighborhood, and they're drinking water and running water, then what about the fire pressure for the other neighborhood? So, I mean, I think that needs to be considered.
And what's your name, sir? Just for
Sam Stone.
Sam Stone.
331 Grassy Point Road.
Okay.
I'll have the numbers.
Got it. All right. Is there someone else for testimony?
John Gronbeck here on behalf of Mill Point Landing Homeowners Association. We previously actually filed litigation against Mr. Mello's company, Mello Enterprises, with regards to the sliver that was removed from the plan. We're still working on that. We are happy that the sliver has been, I guess, returned to the previous property owner. Our main concern with this new development plan that appears in the agenda is that it states that the flood elevation is still AE7. Back in October of 2024, I believe it was October 24th of 2024, this area was actually designated as AE12, which would require that there be 13 feet of elevation. And based on the county GIS records for that property, the elevation for the property is primarily either 3 to 4 feet above sea level, meaning I would assume that these houses either need to be built on stilts to comply with the Florida Building Code, or they need to bring in 10 feet of fill for the entire 3-acre parcel. Additionally, this stormwater pond is also appears to abut a stormwater easement that appears in the plat of the association, whereas I don't know, it does not appear to provide for any sort of flow between those two ponds, which could result in one spilling into the other and creating additional flooding. Beyond that, I believe that is it. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Julie Sombathy. I represent Mello Enterprises. Do I need to be sworn in? I wasn't sure. Okay. I just want to address the litigation briefly. There was litigation filed by the Homeowners Association against my client, but also against a homeowner in the association over a sliver of property that the homeowner conveyed to my client, that my client had included. That's all part of the gate that was going to come off of Cash O'Mara for emergency vehicle access only. And as you have been advised by staff, that has been taken out of the plan. The plan has been revised to remove that. In addition, Mello Enterprises transferred the sliver back to the homeowner. The Homeowners Association has dismissed the lawsuit against the homeowner. And as to Mello Enterprises, we have moved to dismiss the action because it has been rendered moot. The entire purpose of the action was to obtain some type of injunctive relief or other relief related to the sliver, and my client's attempted use of that in the development plan, which now has been removed. The plan has been amended, and the sliver has been returned to the homeowner, who has been dismissed from the action by the HOA. So that's the actual status of the litigation. The only thing we're working through is our motion to dismiss.
Commissioner Ward.
I don't know if she'd be the one to answer this, but no, it's okay. As far as the flood zone, what was it, AE7 to AE12?
Flood zone is not my area of expertise.
Okay, sorry.
Mr. Mesa.
Mr. Mello.
I actually brought plans for each one of you to have, if I may approach.
You'll give those to the city attorney.
Okay. Plans in front of you to answer the previous question do show the units on pilings, so it does meet that elevation requirement. So under at the very base, it's just not livable space, and then the first base floor would be at the a foot above base flood.
Does this answer your question, Commissioner Ward?
It's hard because I'm not a legal expert, but I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, does this qualify for the going to AE 12, going on stilt? Because when I envision stilts, I don't envision this, but this may be okay. I don't know.
Generally is okay under the flood elevation requirements to have unhabitable space under that elevation. So if his elevation is required to be 14, he can have unhabitable space like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be stilts.
Okay.
It has to have like washaway walls, and there are certain requirements in the building code. But this isn't an automatic strike. It's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Is there additional? Yes, sir.
Just to add on to the flood zone, it was updated in October. We've updated our plans to reflect the elevation of 12, I believe it is, maybe 13. I don't have the plans in front of me. The finished floor elevation has been set a foot higher. And like Mr. Mello did mention, there would be stilts because we're not bringing in 10 foot of fill. So.
All right. Any additional testimony? All right. At this time, we'll close our quasi judicial public hearing. So what we'll do at this moment is, if there is a motion from the commission to move forward with this, then we'll receive public commentary at that time. So is there a motion to approve the request for the development order for Bay Breeze Shores by Miller Enterprises Incorporated?
Can I just mention my concern?
Yeah.
I guess my concern is, since there's litigation going on, I've never dealt with this since I've been on the commission. I don't know where that puts us.
So the city is not a party to the litigation, and it has no bearing on the decision you make today. Your decision is based on whether or not they meet the requirements of your code to develop this property. Now, I will say that the litigation may impact the developer's ability to develop this property if you do approve it, but that's not the city's concern. So the litigation should have no bearing on your decision.
Okay, thank you.
With that being clarified, is there a motion to approve the development order request for Bay Breeze Shores?
You may make a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions.
All right, so no motion for that agenda item.
Since there's been changes to the development order, a lot of things have changed, can I make a motion to send this back to the planning board for them to review it again?
The planning board's decision is only a recommendation. It's not
Right.
binding on this commission. So your own process doesn't contemplate that, and it doesn't require that.
Right. But that was my question. My question is that an option?
Your code doesn't contemplate that in this circumstance. You may table it if you think you need more information to continue this hearing for another cycle, but I don't know that you can send it back to the planning board.
Okay. I guess then I would like to make a motion to table it and make sure we have all the information we need to make a decision.
All right, so we'll table this until the next commission meeting. Not yet. All right, there's a motion on the floor to table this to the next commission meeting. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
All right, motion and second. All right, comments from the public?
I don't understand why this needs to be tabled when all the conditions have been met. So I'm not sure, what are we tabling on? Like, what are you still concerned about, and what is your questions?
So a lot of things that have been brought up, like the flood zone and everything, because I'm not expert at any of this stuff.
That's been answered, okay?
Right. And so I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything, because, we're getting all this information all at a certain time. And, you know how it is when you think about something, you go to bed and you think about it and you're like, well, what about this? I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something.
But you shouldn't be missing anything, because you showed up to the property with another person to actually discuss it. So at that point, which was a couple months ago, I believe, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had time to think about it since then. So are you still thinking about it, or?
No. There's other information that has come forward since then. Like, I didn't know about this flood elevation thing. The bald eagle thing, I didn't know anything about.
Bald eagle is something that she was brainwashed into, and I'm sorry to have to be straight up honest with you.
I mean,
I've very clearly talked to multiple people in this audience right here, and it's a corrupt system.
no. All right. I'm not going to respond.
May I speak? If you continue this for another cycle, I do want to make clear that because this is a quasi-judicial hearing, you do have to make your decision based on the evidence you hear in the hearing. You do not get to do an independent investigation to make your decision here.
And it seems to me like you're allowing that to happen, and especially her. I'm not expecting a yes from her. She is allowing the public to input excuses into her head why not to approve it. That's clear to me.
All right, are there any other questions for Mr. Miller? All right, thank you.
Commissioners, respectfully, the law requires you to prioritize my client's property rights here. My client has a right to develop his property. You have heard from your own staff that this application for development order meets all of the city requirements. As to the flood elevation, you've heard from your own staff that this is passed. As to the still issue, you have heard from your own staff that this passes the requirements of the city. As far as the bald eagle issue goes, you have received no testimony today that there are bald eagles or that there is any federal or state jurisdiction over bald eagles that exist on that property. As your attorney told you, this commission and the city of Lynn Haven doesn't have jurisdiction over bald eagles or any other type of protected wildlife that I'm aware of. That's a state or federal issue. And for a point of order here, on January 7, the issue of the bald eagles was raised by a resident at the planning board meeting. It is March 25th, yet there has been no action by an authority with actual jurisdiction to do anything about the alleged bald eagles. As your attorney has stated, this is a quasi-judicial proceeding. You must make your decision based on the evidence you've received, not evidence that you've acquired outside of this hearing, and certainly not based on the idea that there's a bald eagle. There's been no testimony today that there was a bald eagle anywhere on the property. So respectfully, I urge you to vote no on this motion and approve the development order. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
6331 Grassy Point Road. This still does not resolve the issue of you giving 38 water taps to a neighborhood and preventing fire for the neighborhood next door. I mean, it's an assumption that they may make pressure. Do you have it in writing that they're going to get a fire hydrant from the county? What are the legal aspects of that? I have no idea. But I mean, if you're going to give them 38 water taps and it drops the water pressure, it's already been calculated 637 gallons per minute and 706 gallons per minute. You're preventing the other homes from having fire protection. Now, if they're going to run a whole new water line across the bridge and pay for that, then, I don't know. That's a decision you'll have to make. But right now, if you allow them 38 water taps, there is no fire protection for the neighborhood next door that built a long time ago. Now, I'm not against anybody making money or doing development or whatever, but it just is what it is. So.
All right. Thank you. Hold on. This is just public commentary. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just give us your name for the record. Then I can go through this list.
My name is Harry Eberson. I'm on 6402 Grassy Point Road. It'll be right across from this development. I have done extensive research and taken pictures of the so-called bald eagles. I handed it over to Commissioner Judy to have a look at. there's an enormous amount of wildlife in that area. Next to where I live is I think it's 40 acres vacant land. It's just woods. And then to the north of me, towards the pond, to where you enter Grassy Point Road, the county has got a pond there. It's also woods. We have a lot of deer, a lot of bird life. It's a sanctuary. I've got a breeding pair of ospreys right now, making a huge nest inside the cell tower. I gave the pictures. It is our responsibility to protect these animals. They go across the road to my neighbors across the road. They do use the trees. The deer cross over the blacktop into that field to go and eat in the afternoons. We feel it's our responsibility to protect this little bit that we've got left here in, well, I want to say Lynn, this area across the bay. It is important to us. I've got 7 acres there with 100 foot of bay. And there's a picture there of the deer tracks. There's deer coming through there every night. So that's all I wanted to say, because I did mention it the previous meeting, and I didn't think it was necessary again to mention it. But I've got the folder there, if you can maybe pass it. I should have made 7 or so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just public commentary.
My name is Kerry Huff. I own CRH Auto on the corner of Grassy Point Road and 77. My problem is there's a lot of traffic on that road already. It is a very dangerous intersection. I have cameras, I have videos of all kinds of accidents that happen there all the time. The residents, when they come out and try to come off of that road and turn left, they sit there for 10, 15 minutes sometimes. There's a lot of traffic right there. My daughter works for me. She was sideswiped. She was over in the ditch over there. A FedEx truck turned in. They have to turn in at 60 miles an hour because the traffic is coming so fast through there. So, the FedEx truck couldn't make it fast enough because the cars behind him are blowing the horns at him, and he sideswiped her. So, there's a lot of traffic there. Adding another 300 vehicles a day is going to be a problem. That will create accidents.
Thank you. It's just public commentary. There's no rebuttal for this.
My name's Thomas Stone. I live at 6331 Grassy Point Road. And to further his statement and Mr. White, I think it was, statement, city planner, wherever he spoke first, the main concern is public safety. And pulling out of that road is hard enough. I sit there for 10 minutes sometimes just trying to pull out on the road. Not to mention coming off of 77, taking a right, immediately headed back south on Grassy Point Road, you're forced to do a sharp turn. You're forced to turn immediately, slowing down from 55 miles an hour, which is the speed limit, to whatever you're going to do on the road. Oftentimes, I find myself really coming onto oncoming traffic in the wrong lane, so it's just not set up for it. How much do you value public safety? That's what you got to ask yourself. If you want this to pass, drive down the road. See for yourself. It just doesn't work. I don't care what you do on your property. I really don't. Do whatever you want, but the main concern here for me, and I think it should be for yourselves, is public safety. So that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you. Additional public commentary. Stephen Sims. Okay. All right. And after Mr. Sims, we have Ross.
My name is Stephen Paul Sims. I live at 6326 Grassy Point Road. I have a lot of concerns. There's a lot of people in this room that have concerns. There's a gallery of voters behind me who don't want to see this happen, and that includes me. They don't want a three-story anything looking down in their backyard or across their house or into their porch or anything like that. It's a strange fit to me. I've been in construction all my life. I've built houses, I've built apartments, I've built townhomes, I've built all kinds of things. I've owned them. And this is a strange fit to take a high-density residential thing and cram it in between a neighborhood and basically what amounts to farmland. It's a weird fit. I don't want to see it happen. I don't believe it can happen. I don't think he can make it work. Here's why I don't think he can make it work. I've been in construction all my life, and I know what it takes to build something, and I couldn't build what he wants to build there and make it work. Here's why. He can't just build it. Someone hasn't told him all the information, them all the information, or you all the information, and here's some of the information you need to know. To build the thing, he's going to have to widen the road. Because the road, the county, they may have sent him a form email that said, yeah, we'll issue you a thing if they give you a development order. Yeah, they do that. They send you a form email. It's the same one they send everyone. But when it actually goes over to their review, they're going to tell him that he has to pay to buy the right of way. That means he's got to buy land from me and all my neighbors going down the road. That means he's going to have to buy the auto shop. Because I've been told by representatives of the county, when I had face-to-face discussions with them, that he was going to have to buy up right away from me. He was going to have to widen the road. He was probably going to have to put in a turn light there, a stoplight. He was probably going to have to buy the car repair place to put in a turn lane. That's what I was told by the county. Now, I don't think he can afford to make this thing work. So I think what's going to happen is he's going to get halfway through. He's going to lose his shirt like a bunch of other people who've never been in construction have done. And he's going to leave a blighted situation in the middle of Lynn Haven that is now my problem. And why is it my problem? Because none of the traffic's going through Lynn Haven. The traffic's not coming to you. It's real easy to sit here as Lynn Haven people and vote on what happens to the county, which doesn't affect you at all. But all these 308 or so cars a day that are going to exit immediately in front of my house, they're going to exit down that road right there. That's a problem for me. I don't want this to happen. I don't think it can happen. While I have your attention, I'm going to tell you that there are a gallery of people behind me, and I will give them a chance to admonish me and tell me I'm wrong. They feel hurt. They feel offended. They feel like somebody at the city tried to pull a fast one. Here's why. There's a public notice sign. It wasn't put in the city. Originally, this thing was supposed to enter off of Baybury or off of the Casamara. The sign wasn't put there to notify the members of the HOA that this thing was coming. The sign was put on.
Thank you, sir.
The sign was put in the county, and it wasn't for
Sir,
two ladies that walked down the street.
that's your time.
No, we wouldn't have known.
Thank you. Please refrain from applause, or we'll have to move on from public commentary. Thank you.
Evening. I'm Ross Pritchard. I own 121 Cashmere. It's the little notch at the bottom left. I'm west and south of the project. My only thing that I'll address is stormwater. That's been a big topic with Lynn Haven as long as we can remember. The overspill from the pond. But the other thing is like the AE7 versus the AE12 flood zone. That's an A flood zone with elevation, 7 feet versus 12 feet. The other thing that you have to look at the new map is where they moved, and this affects my property too, they moved what's called the Limwa line. And that's the limit of moderate wave action, if that's shown on there. Everything south of the Limwa line is coastal. You don't have a choice of building, storage only. It's only on piles. There's not an option. It's considered coastal. So everything south of the Limwa line is coastal. I think there's just enough that's been tweaked or missing that just table it, update it, and then move it forward. I think that's just it. I think enough of it's just missing out of here, to even get a vote on it, up or down. But thanks.
Thank you. We also have Jennifer O'Neill. Okay, I'm going by my list right here. So you can come on, and then Miss O'Neill. All right.
My name is Paul Sims. I don't know any of you except for the mayor. I've developed several subdivisions in Bay County. I've built over 1,000 homes and have developed about 45 to 50 subdivisions. When this came up and I came to the planning meeting, the person that works for the city didn't have any of her information correctly on this flood zone. She didn't have any of it. So the planning, even though they didn't have all this, she should have never brought it forward because it was already there for her to find. She should have had that. I don't know her name. I'm not mad at her or anything. After it came up, I decided I'd go out there to the road and take a drive because I believe it was this gentleman. One of you said you drove out there. Was it you or one of you said that? Did you ever drive out on? Okay, I thought it was. I went out there and I called the county. And when you go out 77 and you turn on the Grassy Point Road, the county owns a right-of-way there that's 60 feet for the first 250 feet. 60 foot. After that, they only got a 44-foot right-of-way. And right now, the asphalt's only 14 feet wide. And at every subdivision that I built in Lynn Haven, at a 60-foot right-of-way, and the asphalt is, is 22 feet wide. It's on a 60-foot right-of-way. You'll have 22 feet of road that's paved, and then you'll have 19 feet on each side. And the right-of-way down through there right now is 14 foot. And when I was with my son in the county, they don't have enough room. You ought to just go out there and measure it, and you'll see. And let me tell you something about that was beautiful. I have 4 grandchildren that live over there, and every one of them can come up here and tell you right now, there's not just eagles there, there's a special bird there that came through last year. And a lot of people in this room never saw it. A white pelicans. White pelicans, what a beautiful bird. It's a freshwater bird that comes from up north and goes down there. But I personally have not seen the eagles, but they have and told me about them. There's just too much of this. Well, we could do this and we could do that. And we might do this and then maybe we could do that. And we're coming up here. This will do this. And they got too many ifs, ands, and buts about it for me to make a decision on anything. I appreciate you hearing from me.
All right. Thank you. Jennifer O'Neill.
Hi, I'm Jennifer O'Neill. I'm at 6341 Grassy Point Road. As far as the traffic goes, does that 8 trips include the FedEx, the Walmart delivery, the UPS guy, everybody else is going to be coming through there besides the residents? I mean, I think that needs to be thrown in there because that's added to the traffic. And it is a dangerous intersection up there. As far as the bald eagles go, I have hundreds of pictures. Probably not on his property because when he bought the property, he cleared everything off. He's only got like 2 trees. But yes, lots of wildlife, lots of pictures. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe this is Guy or Gary. Guy, all right.
I interpret 1804 Fay Drive. Our property joins just on the backside of said property. A couple of things that we were concerned about is there going to be, since Lynn Haven is now considered part of Lynn Haven, we're going to have Lynn Haven police patrols starting and continuing on through this as well. This school buses. School buses will be coming down that small driveway. I mean, I call it a driveway. It's a road, but it's like Mr. Sims says, it's not near wide enough. And as far as the 38 units, everybody's been talking to one vehicle per unit. It should be 2 vehicles per unit. Just for the wife and husband, so which doubles the amount of traffic now. And of course, everybody else has already brung up everything else besides that, but I just wanted to bring that up. Thanks.
Thank you. Commission, do you have any additional questions for the developer? All right, Mr. Walker. Are you on for this one? Yeah. Yes. I do have that note here. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the reminder.
I have a list here. You have a lot to think about, okay? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to say. Bald eagles, you had pictures of them there, right? Thank you. So that satisfies the requirement. Bald eagles are more endangered species. They are the American bird, made that way by a president of the United States. That's what our military follows that bird and protects it. All trees are being removed from this area and mitigated for $19,000. Landscaping has to be done on a new development. You're going to put the old trees back? No. There's a federal cemetery there. The property that it's on was discussed many times, years ago, over here, and there's a no trespassing sign on the property. It's in that area. The value of the homes along there, one home there and right there is probably going to be a enclave when you do this. And that's $1 million. Taxable value, that's going down. Across the street is another one, $1 million. Taxable value going down. Traffic, mathematics does not prove what that is. It's going to be rental property, and then people can put as many cars as they want in there, and golf carts. The exit, it's on a litigation. I haven't heard it's been solved. That is contingent, and the planner said that it didn't matter with the city of Lynn Haven. It does matter, because if that exit isn't there, the emergency vehicles cannot get in and out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a lot to think about for the public and to protect them. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hold the applause, please. He's coming. He hasn't. Yes, sir. And then you can, yes, sir.
Joshua Cruz. I live at 118 Cashomara, literally right beside where they're trying to develop this land. And the biggest thing I wanted to say is that everything that these people are speaking about is absolutely true. I've been living there for about 2 months, and I have seen the bald eagle multiple times. Whatever bird, hawk, or whatever lives up in the cell tower, I don't know if it's the bald eagle or what it is, but I've actually seen it come down on that land and pick up a snake or something and take it up there. So there's multiple different types of wildlife. And then I see foxes just about every morning, turtles, there's all types of wildlife. So I really feel like it would affect that. And then everything you add on, from not being able to access from Cashomar to Grassy Point, all the water issues there. Like it actually could be a very big issue. And really just with the way the land is and the way the access points are, even if they could only access it from one or both points, it's just bringing too much congestion there to that area. And yeah, but the bald eagles definitely happen. Actually, I was pretty shocked when I saw it, since I can ask my girlfriend. It's pretty cool though, but thank you.
All right, Mr. Scray.
So one of the things I love about Florida is freedom, and one of the things I hate is freedom. You have a right to develop in Florida. We've already heard that. She'll attest to that. You all know that. We've watched how many development orders come through here that we don't like. It's not what's best for the community. but it's the right to develop. And if they meet the rules that the city has in place, what legal grounds do you have to say no? I hate it. I think it's a terrible idea as a citizen. As a business person, I'm sure it's a great idea. It's going to make them money. That's the thing we love about America. You can be an entrepreneur and you can make money. But the city could have prevented this. We have a non-binding referendum on our ballot for zoning. There are plenty of other cities and communities throughout this state, throughout this country, that have zoning, neighborhood use districts. This property is, I believe, is a future land use of residential. If this setup that he wants to build is allowed in that, that's what the city allowed. That's what you guys allowed. All the people that served on this commission for 100 years before you, that's what they allowed. So zoning could have prevented this. A commission before you, or even this commission 2 years ago, could have implemented zoning and said, you know what, up here along the bay, nothing but single-family residences, no duplexes, no apartments, no townhomes. You could have done that. You didn't. You're thinking about it. It's a non-binding referendum. That's great. A little bit too late for this development order. So, I mean, think about all the development orders. Think about, development orders out by the corner of 390 and Harvard that had to be approved that was the public didn't like, Think about other development orders. Think about the one down on Minnesota. There were apartments. People didn't like that idea. It never got built yet. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But all these development orders that get approved because Florida's the right to develop state. And we have rules in place and processes. And if all the boxes get checked, you guys are handcuffed to saying yes, because that's the rules that are in place. And I don't like it. And so that's why I think, I don't know if this is allowed for or not, but everybody needs to vote yes on the referendum for zoning so you can fix problems like this.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Anna Poitevin. I work with Mel Enterprises. In regards to the eagles, when we're talking about the tower that the nest most likely is in, because it's not on that property and not on our property, that tower is not on our property. I'm sure that eagle flies through Cache Elmira over their homes. I'm sure it flies through everybody else on Grassy Point. So you cannot sit there and say that our property cannot be developed because an eagle happens to be flying through it. Our property is not deemed a conservation, preserve, or any type of wildlife refuge. It's a high-density residential property that's been zoned in City of Lynn Haven to be able to develop. And like Amanda has said, we've chosen to go on the lower side. If we wanted to, we could put mobile homes there, but we choose not to because that area is a very nice area. It's very nice homes, so we wanted to keep with that same aesthetic. So we're trying to work with the neighbors, we're trying to work with the community to build something that would actually bring value and look nice. And as far as the grave sites, there is no grave sites on our property. The grave sites is on Mr. Ross's Pritchard property, not on ours. So there's no Confederate, Army, military, no sites on ours. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so there's a motion by Commissioner Ward and second by Commissioner Perno to table this to the next meeting. You keeping those motions?
Yeah, I just want to make sure this is legal, what we're doing by tabling it.
It's legal to continue the hearing. It is not appropriate for you to use that time in between to do additional or independent investigations. Your decision has to be made on the evidence you hear in the hearing.
So I can't talk to Chris Lightfoot about water, amount of water that's required.
You can ask him questions right now.
Okay.
Are there any questions for any staff at this moment?
I'd like to ask a question, Mayor, if I can.
Yes.
I don't know if, and I don't want to put our fire chief on the spot, but Chief, because the change in the entranceway for the emergency vehicles to using the main entrance, you have to go all the way up 77, turn and come down Grassy Point, and come through and use the hammerhead. So does that change response time?
Going up that far will increase response times. My question would be, has a traffic study been done? Because people coming out of that area, are they going to have to go right? Are they going to be able to go left? As it's been stated here tonight, when you do go across there, you are going to have more traffic accidents with that much more traffic. I don't know, I haven't been here but 5 months. I don't know much about the project, but from a public safety standpoint with traffic, that's what I've seen and heard from tonight.
Any additional questions?
I just need to, well, do we have an average response time, like that, a quota of average response time that we?
I couldn't give you that tonight.
Okay. I just, for, I was wondering about that because, when you come off House of Seafood Drive and Cash and go through, I mean, his response time's got to be way, way less than going up and making that hairpin turn, coming all the way back down Grassy Point Road. So, that's a concern to me, but I mean, we changed the plan, but do we factor in what's the response time? So,
Any additional questions for the chief? No, sir, we're discussing right now. Okay.
As far as the fire flow and the fire hydrants, the city's code is 1,000 gallons. I would have to defer that to Director Lightfoot because he's done a study on the water flow. I have not. Like I said, I have not been a part of this project. But as far as water and what they want to do, I would have to defer to the Director of Public Works.
Did you answer that question earlier?
Yes, sir. And as we said, when we model a proposed new development, it's based on what the development is going to be, not the impact it has on the rest of the city or the other city. I get that that is a concern, but that is not something that we go look at for every proposed development on whether it brings fire flow down in other areas.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, sir. Sir, that's all. The question's been answered. Thank you. If there are any more outbursts, I ask for you to be removed. So thank you. All right. Are there any additional questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a question. So the one question I had was just answered. The other one I had was the other biggest issue that, I mean, we've talked about the Eagles and all that, but biggest issue that I don't really know the answer to is the widening of the road. So the biggest issue or one of the issues I kept hearing was the width of the road. I just want to brainstorm.
I think that's the county's issue.
Yeah, so with it being the county's issue, if wouldn't that mean that
the county's threw it on us where they're not going to give a permit?
Correct.
It's pending on us.
But if the county deems that the road's not wide enough, then they would stop them from developing anyways, right? Because they have to give the permit?
I'm not super familiar with the county's regulations, but they would likely require either the developer to bring the road up to a standard that would meet capacity or to front the money to enable the county to do so.
Okay. So the county could potentially take care of that. So if that's the issue, then it's a county issue.
All right. Are there any more questions for the developer? All right. City manager.
I'd like to rescind my motion if I don't remember who seconded it because
Commissioner Perno was the second.
So you don't want to table this?
No, and you know, Ryan Scray said it best. And when we sit up here, we can't sit here and make a decision based on how we feel. We all know that, and we know it's a right to develop state. I just had concerns about whether this is legal or not, and from everybody's telling me it's legal, you know. So if everyone's, you know, confident that we're doing everything legal, then yeah, we have an obligation to vote on it.
Even if we don't know what response times are for the fire, because it was already stated?
I don't know that that's a requirement for a development
Right,
order.
that's what I'm getting at. If it's not a requirement, then we can't vote on it like that. So, I mean, if we met every legal, if the developer met every local, state, and federal regulation, then we have to let them develop.
There's what ifs, like about water pressure and.
All right, so Commissioner Warwick wants to rescind his motion. Commissioner Perno, do you second that?
Yes, if you don't want to table it.
I mean, unless I'm missing something here, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything, but
I heard one thing from the audience that was directed at Mr. Lightfoot. Is there, because we had a land use issue a while back, and it was about whether or not the man wanted to expand his property, and he ended up going into the county instead of Lynn Haven, and it was about fire hydrants and whether they were looped or not. I know I heard that question from the audience, but is this looped?
No, sir, the system's not looped. I mean, our water line goes up there. That is the end of our city limits there at Cashel.
so you said even if this takes the other ones down in Cashmere below 1,000, this is still legal?
So, and Amanda and the attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but we cannot base our assumption on a development lowering the water pressure in other places. It's based upon what we model whenever they submit their proposed development.
And based on their model, they'll have 100,000 gallons a minute. Okay.
It was reviewed by the fire inspector and agreed to about the sprinkled buildings when they apply for their building permits.
And all that's in the development order. Okay, thanks. Look, I don't like it as much as you do.
If you want to vote, let's vote. I'll rescind the second.
All right.
All right, is there a motion to approve the development order?
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Well, even though I'm simple-minded and I've been brainwashed, according to Mr. Mello, I second it. You should.
All right, so there's a motion and there is a second. We've had discussion. City manager, you call the vote.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
No.
Commissioner Peebles?
No.
Commissioner Perno?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion dies, or motion fails.
It's not an automatic denial because you also have the option to approve with conditions or to deny. So I need you to make another motion that's either to approve with conditions or to affirmatively deny it. I have to render a written order. I can't assume what the other
Right.
option is.
Can we make it a motion to approve if they get permission from the county for the road?
Yeah, I'll second that.
I mean, is that legal? I don't know.
You just made the motion, so.
Oh, okay, I made the motion.
All right, so there's a motion and a second.
Can I ask Commissioner Ward to caveat that motion to beyond the road and say that there should be a test for the pressure of the water? I don't know at what point, but I mean before occupancy, maybe before CO.
I think you can do that.
They will already do that because when they pull their building permits, if they do not meet the 1,000 gallons per minute, the fire inspector will require the building to be sprinkled. They're already putting the services as part of these plans to do that. Now, if you're that concerned about the water, you could put a condition in there about tying into the county. Whether the county approves that or not, I don't know, and then it may have to come back to us.
Did you hear that, Mr. Warwick? It's your motion.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know. This has gotten so complicated.
All right, so we'll keep it simple. There's a motion to approve with the condition that the county approves or that approves the road. There's a second by Commissioner Peebles. All right, is that good? All right. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
No, and the reason, can I state why? I still have concerns over the water pressure at Casa. I don't feel that's been addressed. But forgive me, I'm simple-minded.
All right.
No.
No.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 14, discussion and possible approval of resolution 2025-03052, approving $1,056 to lien property 1106 Wyoming Avenue for costs incurred by the city to abate nuisances located upon such a property. Is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Peebles. Is there public comment on this? City Manager, if you call the vote.
You want me to read the resolution
yes,
first?
please.
Yes. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, approving an amount of $1,056.56 to be liened on property located at 1106 Wyoming Avenue for incurred by the city to abate nuisances located upon such property, authorizing the appropriate officers of the city to record the lien and notify interested parties of such lien, and providing an immediately effective date.
All right, yes, if you'll call the vote. Commissioner Warwick and Commissioner Peebles.
Commissioner
No,
Ward.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Perno, Commissioner Peebles.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion pass. Discussion and possible approval to award IFB 24.2503 Beautification Grant Project Phase 2 to Pine Grove Nursery and landscaping in the amount of $119,878.35. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Warwick. Is there comments from the public on this? All right, no comments. All right.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes, and thank you for the grant.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. In lieu of timing, Commission, you may or may not agree with this. Would you be in agreement for us to table discussion for items 16 and 17 till our next meeting, so we can go to item number 18 to discuss 24th Street?
I mean, I think 17's easy.
Yeah, we just wanted to quickly present it so that the citizens would know that it's an option.
Okay. Do we need to do anything official to postpone item number 16 to next commission meeting?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and we'll get a little more time to look over it as well. All right, item number 17, discussion only about the consumption of and sale of alcohol for non-city sponsored events on city facilities. Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes, a couple of months ago, a group of citizens approached me about the possibility of private individuals on city property being able to use alcohol. I brought it to the pre-commission meeting. It was discussed. I asked the commissioners to go out talk to the citizens to see if they were in agreement. Last week, we decided to put it on the agenda for discussion only so that the citizens would know what we were thinking. So that's it. And it's a private, it's not for the it's not for the city activities.
Like concerts in the park and that, it's not for.
It is not for concerts in the park or the egg hunt or the art projects. It is strictly for if someone rents a space in the city like the garden center and they want to have a wedding and serve champagne, as an example.
Additional discussion from the commission?
I was just going to say for anyone out there that's watching or listening, our agenda packets are online. So if you can obviously reach out to us, but if you want to read into stuff that's the history of this, you can go into our agenda packet, read what's on the number 17. But also a few months ago, this was brought up originally with some ideas, and there's minutes on what we talked about. So if this item is important to you, whether you're for it or against it or indifferent, and you just want to give suggestions, please, please, please reach out to us. Read those agenda minutes, the commission meeting minutes, read the agenda packets, get ideas together. I want to know if you're for it or for against or indifferent. I just want to do what the overall citizens want on this matter. That's what's important.
All right, earlier we did have a comment from Mr. Scray regarding this. Is there any other comments from the public on this? All right, moving on to agenda number 18, discussion and possible approval for Traffic Safety Committee to install traffic calming devices on 24th Street. Is there a motion for this?
I'd like to make the motion to approve, but I'd like to ask, Bobby, how long will it take to put it in place?
Well, we'll order them tomorrow, so it's just a matter of when they can deliver them. But we're only doing it for 24th, right?
Yes, this is just 24th Street.
And my question is where's the placement of going to be? Because I know in the policy it says 300 to 500 feet apart from each other, which is important because if they're spaced too far apart, then they become ineffective.
Right.
So
we'll start it, there's a creek crossing right in the middle. We'll start with that as the center and then move them out. One to the south or east and one to the west.
So there's going to be 3 of them?
No, 2 of them. We're not going to put one at the creek. We'll use that as the center point.
So it'll be spaced apart between 300 and 500 feet from each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there comments from the public? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Parnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Meeting adjourned.